What's up, everybody? Renfail here, back again for some more Baldur's Gate 3. I am so glad that my prediction before this game came out came true. And my prediction was that I was going to be playing this game for a minimum of 3 to 4 months to get through my first playthrough. Um, I am now entering into my third month, and I'm still firmly in Act 3 with my druid. And I can now absolutely say, after looking at the playtimes and everything, I have way more time in Act 3 alone than I do in Acts 1 and 2 combined. So when people ask the question, how big is Act 3? Is Act 3, is it rushed? Is it whatever? Oh no, Act 3 is a massive sprawling city that is just amazing from top to bottom. And I love all of it. It's been a really fun ride, and I'm just very pleasantly surprised by a game that seems to be able to continue to provide me with entertainment long after, it could have ceased to do so. There was a great conversation on Twitter the other day. Somebody was pointing to the recent release of Assassin's Creed, I think it's called Mirage, as being something that could be completed in 20 hours and fully completed in 30. So if you want to do 100%, it's about 30 hours. Otherwise, it's a 15 to 20 hour experience is what I've been hearing online. And there was a conversation on Twitter. I wish I would have saved it because it would have been a really fun discussion to have. But basically, this guy was saying that that's the kind of game he prefers, which is totally legit. It's totally okay. Those games are great. I also love God of War and Jedi Survivor and Spider-Man, and I'm playing Gotham Knights right now, which is a lot of fun. I like those really flashy, fun games too. And I like it when I can find a game that gives me a very quick experience. But my preference is always going to lean towards if you're asking me to pay $70 for something, I better be getting, a minimum of 40 hours. And they were saying how, streamlined games for 15 hours of gameplay are way better than sprawling 200-hour epics. And I just don't agree without some nuances to that. There are caveats to that conversation because if you do it, let's just point at Assassin's Creed Valhalla as a recent example of a game I played that I loved. Don't get me wrong, loved that game, but I'll be the first to admit that despite my love of the Assassin's Creed franchise and my passion for their open world style that they did with Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. I've played Odyssey 3 times, guys. It's great. It's like Red Dead Redemption 2, which I've gone back and done 3 times. There are certain games that give me worlds that I feel are justifiably so well done that I want to go back and do them again. Baldur's Gate 3 has been providing me with that experience, which is freaking amazing. But Valhalla, Odyssey, Origins, they've all got the side quests, right? And those side quests, it's like busy work. It's stuff that you can do if you like doing it. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But it's just there to add more, because what they want to do is they want to provide players with a world to live in. And I've seen people who complain that side quests like that can get boring, and I always reply back with, well, if you let them get boring, they can get boring. In the same way that if you let the quests in Baldur's Gate 3 get tedious, they can get tedious because they have multiple steps and you have to read books and you do all these things. So some people view these types of quests as tedious. Other people look at like the side quests of Assassin's Creed and say those are frivolous, bullshit, fast food that no one should want to consume. The reality is, I, like many other people out there, love to eat all types of food. I do not discriminate between fast food, between gourmet steak, between cheesecake, Coca-Cola. I will eat and drink everything out there. So when I look at what Baldur's Gate 3 has provided me with, all of that livable world stuff that I love about those other games, Baldur's Gate 3 has given me. At a different level, a different style. It took the idea of side quests, and this is a personal thing only. I feel that the side quests in Baldur's Gate 3 are what elevate it beyond just being a traditional CRPG. Because there have been a lot of CRPGs I've played over the years that have really good storylines. Dragon Age Origins, Pillars of Eternity, Pillars of Eternity 2, Mass Effect. Like, there have been great games out there that have really good stories. Red Dead Redemption 2, the God of War series, the Jedi Survivor series. Great stories. And presented in their own way. Great stories. The Assassin's Creed games have great mythology behind them, with the Greek mythology and the Nordic mythology, which is one of the reasons that I love playing those games. I don't care about the side quests and stuff so much. Like, sure, they can get tedious, but I'm playing Starfield and I love doing missions from the mission boards, which is essentially the same thing. And some people look at the mission boards and go, "There's no way I would touch that. That's procedural bullshit. That's just meh content. That's not real content." I don't care. I'm having fun. I like going to a mission board, grabbing 3 little shoot quests to go out and blow ships out of the sky and then go down on a planet and, go raid an outpost of bandits and get done. And, I've played 2 hours and I've gotten a bunch of new ammo, crafting gear, and gained a couple levels. Like, that is not boring to me. I like having games that are livable spaces, and I realize that not every quest can be handwritten. However, Baldur's Gate 3 has come the closest to anything that I've ever played where they took the handcrafted aspect of tabletop and wove it together into a tapestry that's so big that, as fun as the first 2 acts of the game are, it's nothing compared to the third act. I've been in Act 3 for like 2 months. Like, it's been like 2 months for me. And part of that is because I'd done early access for years, so I kind of knew Act 1 already, so I was able to sort of do a streamlined run-through of Act 1 before I got into Act 2. Act 2 was a really good chunk of that first month, but then I was in Act 3. And there really is something to say when people talk about how in Baldur's Gate 3, go into every building, because every building can potentially have a quest for you to work on, is so fucking true. Every building in Baldur's Gate 3 essentially has something that's going to provoke a quest or some sort of event or some sort of story or some sort of thing that you could choose to react to or choose to ignore. And those things are going to change depending on who's in your party, right? And it's just exceptionally well done. But that's also one of the reasons why it is so complex. That for some people, we talked about this, I think, in the last video I did, is Baldur's Gate 3 too big? And this is one of the areas I've heard complaints on Twitter. Not a lot. It's the vocal minority and they are the vocal minority for every game they play. They just like to nag. Some people can't be happy. Some people are impossible to please. They have the Karen syndrome, and they're going to be Karens the rest of their lives. But it's all right. For the rest of us, we understand how this works. But the third act is very, very big, and for some people, it's too big. They want something a little more streamlined, and this is where the curse of I don't necessarily have a direction, I'm directionless, help. Like, I understand that a little bit, because that's one of the reasons I didn't like to play Elite Dangerous, as an example, or No Man's Sky, because those games, when I tried them and played them, did not have a main storyline. It was sort of just like, here's this big open place, go forth and do whatever the hell you want. I need a little structure to my video games. Like, a good example is, I love Red Dead Redemption 2 as an example, because you do have linear components to that game that are points A to point B to progress the main storyline, right? But in between those points, you could have an entire life, essentially, in an online game where you're a Western cowboy or an outlaw or whatever in that space that you decide to be, and you can lose yourself for weeks or months without ever progressing the main storyline. That's amazing. So I like to have a little bit of structure, and one of the things about Act 3 is there is a lot going on. You can still follow the main storyline if you want, but the problem with the every building scenario is that literally every building I'm finding like quests and side quests, and I am constantly getting sidetracked. If you've been following up on the Let's Play series for the Druid, I've live streamed all those episodes. I'm starting to get into some offline play with that one too that I'm uploading, because I have so many things going on, and it's just there's so much to still see and to do. Like for example, where I'm at right now, I'm about to enter the House of Hope, which is where it's Raphael's domain, and I'm supposed to do something naughty. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I'm supposed to get in there and rob something that's going to help Lae'zel rescue the prince, which I'm not necessarily for that venture, but I want to play it out because these are the companions that I took were Lae'zel, Gale, and Shadowheart. I've already done my romance option with Shadowheart. We've already met Mystra with Gale. He's still got some other stuff to do, but hers is the next one, and so there's that quest going on. Plus, there's the main quest with this creature stuff going on, the Nautiloids and the Mind Flayers. Then there's like when I ran into Answer the other day, the giant dragon underneath Baldur's Gate 3, who supposedly was the dragon of Baldur, the founder of the city, and then you find out, man, I hope you paid attention to the spoiler alert a few minutes ago, or a minute or so ago. Then you find out that the Mind Flayer is actually Balduran, and that takes you for a mind spin, and then you're meeting Saravok, and you're dealing with him, and you're meeting Minsk and dealing with him, and you're doing this stuff for Jaheira, and you're doing things for the Nine Fingers, and you're doing stuff over here for, the steel, taking out the Steel Watch, and you're taking out Orin the Red, and then you got to go after Gortash. There are a million things going on in Act 3. Act 3 is awesome. Quick commercial break, everyone, to give a shout out to our first official guild officer, Babylonia, as well as all of the guild champions, and of course, all of the members who help keep me on the air full time. To join as a member, simply click that join button below and pick your tier, but you can also support with SuperChats on any live stream or premiere, or SuperThanks on any upload or YouTube short. Don't forget the Discord. Let's get back to the video. I am not one of those people who complain that Baldur's Gate 3 has a horrible Act 3 and that it sucks. No, on the contrary, I am extremely pleased that my predictions held true. Because I said at the beginning, I was like, this is probably going to take me 3-4 months minimum. And we're in 3 months, and I think that it's probably going to take me to the end of the year. I mean, obviously I could go faster if I played Baldur's Gate 3 more, but I'm trying to do lots of things right now to provide lots of content on the channel. Because all of a sudden we get into October, and there's just all this stuff launched. And then you've got Starfield in the middle of there and Cyberpunk 2077. There's just so many great games launching right now. I'm very glad that this is in the mix. And much like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Red Dead Redemption 2 and Pillars of Eternity and Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire and Dragon Age Origins, the games that I've played 3 or 4 or more times over the years, Baldur's Gate 3 is now firmly entrenched in that category, in that list of games that I love, and it took the place from Baldur's Gate 2 for my favorite CRPG of all time. I can't wait. It's great because I'm not rushing to get to the end right now, and that's not to say that other people rushed per se, but we were talking about this on the stream the other day. From a content creation standpoint, the way I do it anyway on my channel is I do lots of different things. Sometimes one thing is a main focus for a little bit, but over the course of 4 years of my channel or whatever, I've always had like one thing that's the main focus for like 2 or 3 months, and then we go to another thing, and then we go to another thing, and in the middle of that we'll be staggering lots of other things. So for many, many years, Star Wars: The Republic and Lord of the Rings Online, I think for like 4 years of my channel, those are both in the mix. Those have kind of faded to the background now. This is now taking one of those slots of games that are rotating in and out. And as we get deeper into this year, I'm going to find out if that's going to be Starfield or if it's going to be Cyberpunk 2077. Because I like both those games, but I'm not sure which one of those yet is going to be one of the next ones that becomes into my rotation for the next 3 or 4 years. We'll see. Anyway, Baldur's Gate 3 is there. We're still going with Act 3. So subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams in the mornings. Just kind of whenever. I sometimes start as late as 11 a.m. Central, but I usually start around 8 or 9 in the morning. It's just kind of 8 to 10-ish. I start in there somewhere, and I'll go for 2 or 3 hours. So if you see me live, I'll see you there. Don't forget to drop a super thanks on this video if you want to support the channel, or join as a member, get access to the private member videos. Links to the Discord are down below, and I'll see everybody in the next one. Stay safe, everybody. Happy gaming.